My name's Anthony Pascariello. I topped Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals in 2011 and 3 YCSs back-to-back in 2012. Although I stopped playing in 2013, I've rediscovered my passion for the game through older formats and love sharing ideas about how to play. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Masterclass. I'm by no means a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master. Today is the day. Really big Edison tournament number 2 goes down today. I'm playing in it and I'm very excited. I haven't played in an Edison tournament since actual Edison format in 2010, and wow, I'm very excited, and it took me a good week or two to figure out what deck I wanted to play, but I ended up going with what you're looking at in front of you, gadgets. I always have said that when entering a tournament you need 3 principles. You have to pick a deck that you think is going to give you the best possible chance of winning. You have to build it to your liking, and you have to execute with it. Now, I put a lot of thought into the different decks, and I wanted to play something that mained Oppression. I thought Oppression is really, really good, and I wanted to play something that was consistent. Now, there are a bunch of decks that are good, right? We're talking Edison format, so there are like 20, 25 good decks. Some are better than others, and right now it seems like Value Turbo is the best deck. A lot of people like Diva Hero, Quick Draw Dandy Warrior, Plant variants. There's a lot of good stuff floating around, but I think Heroes were my go-to deck. That was the deck I really wanted to play in this tournament because Stratos for Alias, Gemini Spark being a nice way to put your aliases in the graveyard so you could Hero Blast, get a +1 with the Hero Blast, potentially get +1s off the Gemini Spark, which is very easy to do. I think Double Starlight Road is really, really good. It helps you go a little bit aggressive with your aliases and stuff. I thought Heroes was the best deck, so I started testing it, and I just kept running into a ton of problems because although it sides the Royal Oppressions and main decks the skill drains, it seems like you're getting the wrong pieces at the wrong time. You're putting things on the board that you're not really presenting a problem to the opponent. You're kind of just like putting small pauses on what they're trying to do with skill drain. Oh, okay, it doesn't really shut down everything they're doing. It definitely hurts, but they have outs to it, and it doesn't necessarily stop them from putting big monsters on the field. If you don't draw Miracle Fusion or you draw it too early, you can't play it. Oh, I summon Stratos. I don't want to get Ocean because I have Gemini Spark, but I kind of need Alias, but I have both, so I don't know what to do. It's just very particular in its timing, and I noticed that it just doesn't really present any problems or questions to the opponent that they have to answer. It really just lets your opponent do a lot of the work, and then it tries to answer them but not so well, and then it doesn't really, unless you could get your Miracle Fusions off successfully, which I found to be a problem because I rarely drew them, and when I did they were just pretty untimely. I did not have so much fun running Heroes, although I thought they were the best deck, and I wanted to play gadgets very badly, but I kept thinking, oh, the Cyber Dragon system down, that's just going to really make it hard. Double Starlight Road is the answer in my head. I think Heavy Storm is being able to set 2 at the beginning of the game and know that you're safe, even more if you want, but I like setting 2 because I like the idea of not putting down 3 or 4 and kind of telegraphing that you have a Solemn or a Starlight Road. I think 2 is, you set 1. This is my little, here's the Poker Wrapper Pro Play of the Day. You go first, you open Starlight Road in another back row, you draw, you have your 6, you set 1, and then you kind of wait a second or 2 before you set the second one. And you're going to set it because it's Starlight Road, but you kind of telegraph to your opponent that you're worried about Heavy Storm, you don't want to lose both cards to Heavy Storm, and then hesitantly you set the second card and you pass. And then they draw, and now they're like, alright, they set that second one, good. If they have Heavy, they're playing it. I don't think they're even thinking about it. It's happened a good 2 or 3 times so far. Not saying it happens all the time, it is situational, but Starlight Road is great, obviously, against Heavy Storm, trap heavy deck like, this and like Heroes as well, but it also lets you overextend a little bit into Torrential. It lets you overextend a little into Mirror Force. No, they're not going to Torrential one gadget, they're not going to Mirror Force one gadget. When you have 2 or 3, even though they were all getting +1s and that Mirror Force is going to end up being even, it's just positioning, right? They don't want a board full of little monsters or of Solidarities on the field, bigger monsters, putting all that damage on. They're going to do it. Now you're in a really, really good position. And anyway, I think Double Starlight Road really, really helps. And I'm just not so worried about System Down for that reason. I'm not super worried about Cyber Dragon because Bottomlesses and Oppressions are in the main deck. Torrential if you have to do it. And by the time you have so many gadgets on the field, you probably have some protection like that. And if they do it early game, then it's, you got your 1+ with your gadget, so you're going to lose a card. They're losing a Cyber Dragon to put another monster on the field. They're attacking 2,000, not that big of a deal, right? You have outs to that. And by the time they do that, maybe you have your Fossil Dynast sided in and Rivalry, depending on what they're playing. But that's my idea of why you shouldn't be afraid to play gadgets. I think they're extremely consistent, and I want to break down why I think they're so consistent. So let's go over what these cards do. If you guys are unsure of what they do, I'm going to give a full deck breakdown right now. And if you already know what gadgets are all about, then feel free to just skip ahead to the tournament matches or however I end up doing that, maybe in a separate video. I'm not 100% sure yet. Anyway, alright, you got red gadget, you got yellow gadget, and you got green gadget. And what these puppies do, simply, when you summon red gadget, normal or special, you add a yellow gadget from your deck to your hand. And then yellow gets green, and green gets red. Boom. Little mini Stratoses, right? You summon one, you get another one. They're small, maybe a little bit of a problem, right? But we'll go over why that's not such a problem later. So on to the next monster. Machina Gear Frame. Now, this does the same thing. It doesn't search for any of these. It's a searcher, but this is an 1800 attacker, and when this is normal summon specifically, you can add a Machina monster from your deck to your hand except Gear Frame. So you can get a Force, you can get a Fortress, you can get a Peacekeeper. You're almost always going to get Fortress. And he does do a couple other things. You can equip it or unequip it to a machine monster. If you unequip it, you basically special summon it from your spell trap card zone. If you equip it, you put it in your spell and trap card zone. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you destroy this card instead. So he's kind of a Swiss Army knife, does a couple different things, but the most important thing he's going to do is search out this card, Machina Fortress, which is a level 2500, a 2500 attacker, 7-star. You can discard machine monsters whose total levels equal 8 or more, than special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. First things first, he can discard himself, and that's already 7 out of the 8. So, you can discard him and any gadget or Peacekeeper, basically anything in the deck with himself to special summon him from your hand. When he's in the graveyard, you could discard Machina Force. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, a lot, right? 10 stars. You can discard this from your hand to special summon him from the graveyard. This card's only purpose is to be discarded from the hand to special summon this from the graveyard. As far as anyone's concerned, that's all you gotta know. You cannot special summon this card except by using Commander Covington. We don't use that card. I don't think anyone's ever used that card in the history of the game. So all you gotta know is this is used for him primarily. Now, once this is in the graveyard and you have Gear Frames, you could summon one, add this from your deck to your hand, pitch it to special summon this from the graveyard. But why is that so good? Just a 2500 beater, you're kind of going -1 to bring them out, except the Gear Frames are plus. This is nice, but initially it's a little bit of a minus, even if you got them for free, realistically. If this card's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. Could be a back row, could be a monster. 2500, that bangs out with Absolute Zero, that bangs out with Stardust Dragon and Pop's cards. This is very versatile and will help you get cards off the field that you're worried about. And if that's not enough, before resolving an opponent's monster effect that targets his face-up card, look at your opponent's hand and discard one card from their hand. Literally look at it and discard it. If they target this with a monster effect, you discard a card from their hand that you get to pick. This makes it very difficult for them to want to target this with monster effects, they really have to use spell and traps or run it over, and those are really their best options. So this card is fantastic. So as we look at the monster lineup so far, what are we thinking? All right, they're all just plus generating, right? This one gets this, +1. This one gets this, +1. Yeah, they get run over. That's -1. That's what we're worried about. These 1800 get run over a little bit less, right? And if we're talking about a lot of value turbo and stuff, we're talking about Armageddon Knights, we're talking about Dark Refers, we're talking about smaller monsters. 1800 monster that gets a card from your deck to your hand like Stratos, except it's at 3, not at 1 like Stratos. This is a very, very good card and makes for a very consistent deck, I like to think. But if that's not enough, how about a couple Sangans in here? When this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, it does have to get destroyed, you can add a Union monster from your deck to your hand. Boom. Unions. You get one of these to your hand. This is not a Union. This is not a Union. So this is a Union. You could actually get one of these to your hand, but you're almost always going to get a Gear Frame. And he does the same thing. You can equip it as Union monsters do to a machine-type monster on the field. And, well, you have to control it, not just on the field. And then if it were to be destroyed, he would be destroyed instead. So this is a nice little floater. It'll help you protect your guys if you need it, but more importantly, it'll help you get Gear Frame to your hand. So you're really playing like 5 Gear Frames. Now, board positioning. I summoned a gadget. I got a gadget. Next turn, you destroyed my gadget with your monster, so we're even. Now, I summon a gadget. Next turn, I get a +1, and then I smash and ground your monster. This is basically a nice 1-for-1. You summon your gadget, you smash and ground their monster, you attack. Are they going to run out of resources eventually? Maybe. Do you have multiple cards in this deck to put pressure on and keep your summoning consistent? Yes. That is the most important thing to me, consistency with this deck. Now, one card I absolutely fall in love with harder every time I play it is called Solidarity. If you only have one original type of monster in your graveyard, all monsters you control with the same type gain 800 attack. Let's look at these types. Oh, they are literally all machines. So, all of these, 13 goes to 21, 12 goes to 2000, this goes to 22, 26, how about 33? And how about 13? Why not? If you ever want to attack with a Peacekeeper if you get the chance to. This card takes these little guys. Now, this is already good if you just go summon, get one, smash and ground their monster, attack next turn. Yeah, maybe they run it over. Maybe they attack into something you protect. So you're going 1-for-1 with the spells and traps versus their monsters. Maybe even more if you're lucky. Maybe Oppression just gets you a straight up +1. Maybe Mirror Force gets you a +1 or a +2 or something wild if people overextend or feel like they need to play it a certain way. But then the gadgets are still getting you your +1s. So your opponent's playing a game trying to do what they're doing, and you're dealing with those cards, with these cards, and with some fortresses and other cards, but then the gadgets are slowly just doing what they do. Just boop, gadget, doing exactly what you need them to do, which is just stay consistent, put a little bit of pressure on, just hitting the gas pedal very lightly, and then all of a sudden you drop Solidarity, and now these small little ticky-tack problems, these are serious threats now. I mean, a normal summon 2000 beater that's getting you a +1, and that's also thinning your deck so that you could draw cards like this that are normal summon 26 beaters and special summon 33 beaters. You're putting pressure. You're going from this to this super quickly just because of this card, and I find myself having to go back to the word consistency because all this stuff that's helping is already taking something good and just making it very much better, in my opinion. What else do we have? We have Heavy Storm, destroy all spells and traps on the field. This is one that you're playing so many set cards and Solidarity, you don't have to play heavy. I don't like not playing heavy. I think this is going to be sided out some games depending on the matchups, but I'd rather play Heavy Storm. I think it could help close games out if you're in a good position and you can attack for game even if you have to go minus and destroy some of your own cards. Going second, if they set a couple, okay, maybe they took their time and set that second one into Starlight Road and you got pro played, but maybe it's just going to help clear up some stuff so you can go, run over their monsters and go plus and not have to worry about certain cards. True Nade, return all spells and trap cards on the field to the hand. I'll explain why this is good in a second. MST, pops a spell or trap card on the field. Now let's go over to this card right here, Limiter Removal. double the attack of all machine monsters you currently control until the end phase of the turn. During the end phase of the turn, destroy those monsters. Double them. 5,000? 3,600? That's game. Trunade, they have no more spells and traps. You put them all back in their hand. Are they going to Solemn that? Maybe. Do they have Solemn? Maybe. They can't Starlight Road it. There's not too much you could do to this. If they have that many back row, good chance they don't have Gores, right? If they have it all, they have it all. What can you do? This card is insane, and most of the time, even at worst, if you have to set this card for one gadget, and they attack, and you double the attack, and they lose their monster, then you lose this, yeah, you went -1, but the gadget got you a +1, so you're even. So this card is either going to completely just end the game out of nowhere, and you're going to win because all your monsters are ridiculously strong, or it's going to protect you for a turn. This card is absolutely insane. I haven't gotten the chance to use it very much in my dueling career, and I'm very excited to try it today. I hope I draw it and win some games with it. Creature Swap. Each player chooses one monster they control and switches control of those monsters with each other. Those monsters cannot change their battle positions for the rest of the turn. You have a big monster, you have a Stardust Dragon, you have something that's really good. I have a small monster. I have a monster that when it gets destroyed, I get to add a card from my deck to my hand. I give you one of these monsters. I take your big monster. Now I have a big monster. And these did their job already. Creature Swap, nice card that always one of my biggest fears playing against it. Whenever people would creature swap me, I get a goat token, I get a Sangan, and I've never used this card enough throughout my years of playing this game, and I'm very excited to use it today, and I think it complements the deck extremely well. All of these cards do. Important thing to note, each player gets to choose which monster they're giving away. So if I creature swap and my opponent has 2 monsters, they get to choose which one they give to me. Pot of Avarice, just one. You don't want to get a little crazy because sometimes, you know, it's going to be dead in your hand if you're playing 2 or 3. Target 5 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck and draw 2 cards. All these guys get to go back. That's great. And then you get to recycle the engine again. Of course, you could put other monsters back as well. To the traps, bottomless. When they summon a monster 1,500 or more attack, normal or special summon, you destroy it and banish it. That's going to get your Cyber Dragons off the field. That's going to get your big boys off the field. Bottomless, I think it's a staple. Torrential, when a monster's summoned, destroy all monsters on the field. That's going to clear up the board if they start overextending and stuff. Starlight Road, one of my favorite cards. When a card or effect is activated that would destroy 2 or more cards you control, negate the effect, and if you do destroy that card, then you can special summon 1 Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. This is insane. I talked about it earlier. Yes, Starlight Road is a sleeper card, fantastic card. Some people think it's bad, you shouldn't run any. I think it's absolutely a brilliant card and a game changer. And yeah, I'm playing too. I want to overextend. I want to play a little loose with this deck because it's such a nice, consistent, and nicely paced deck, and it does what it has to do, but then I want to play aggressive. I want to overextend. This card lets me do it, and it lets my control be better set up too, because I can set more cards, not have to worry about getting heavy stormed. Yeah, I can't stop Trunade. Yeah, I can't stop Cold Wave. Who can? Not many cards except for this one right here, Solemn Judgment. When a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap card is activated, pay half your life points, negate the summon or activation if you do destroy that card, a staple in almost every deck. Mirror Force, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. That'll clear the board very quickly. Deep Prisons, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, target that attacking monster, banish that target. This will get stuff removed from play and stop some attacks nicely. Royal Oppression, which I think is huge, even though it does not stop value. I mean, you can pay 800 to negate it, but it doesn't remove itself from play, so we can do it endlessly. So Royal Oppression versus Value Turbo isn't the best, but I'm not so much concerned for that one deck. There are so many other decks in like 90%, if not more, of the decks in this format special summon, so Royal Oppression is extremely good. Either player can pay 800 life points to negate the special summon of a monster and or an effect that special summons a monster and destroy those cards. This card will shut your opponent's plays down. Synchros are no more. special summons from the hand, Call of the Haunted, Cyber Dragons, so many cards. Royal Oppression will just completely shut down, and this will really, really cripple your opponent, put them in a very tight spot. This is I can't say enough good about this card. Yeah, they can stop your special summons, but, if you see that you have Oppression, maybe you put your Fortress on the field and then set your Oppression. That way they can't negate it, and you're kind of playing your cards a little bit better, right? You're not kind of shooting yourself in the foot, to say. So, next up, Ultimate Offering. This is another one that it's, not a necessity, but if you can play it, I like the idea of throwing one in here because I think it also makes a little overwhelming scenario possible for your opponent. During your main phase or your opponent's battle phase, you could pay 500 life points immediately after this effect resolves. Normal summon or set a monster. All these monsters get monsters. You pay 500 life points, you put another one on the field, just like that, you have 13, 25, 39, 52, 64. 6,400 damage on the field by turn 2. Is that going to happen very much? Probably not, but I still like the idea of throwing this in here so that you could just flip it and start putting pressure on the board when you need to. This is one that doesn't have to be played, but I think it's so good that I really want to see how it does today. So I threw one in here. And finally, Trap Dust Shoot. Activate only if your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand. Look at your opponent's hand, select one monster card in it, and return that card to its owner's deck. If you go first and draw this card, and you get to play it on your opponent, you get all the information of every card that they have, and you get to pick whatever you think is the biggest threat to you and put it back in their deck, a monster. So that is just crippling. This card is one of those where I'm not a big fan of it. Usually I side deck it, but because 3 Pot of Avarice, because of so many cards seem to be in the hand, this format specifically, I think it's okay to keep in the main deck. You will see me siding this out a lot if I go second, and I'm not too sure what else to side out. Dust Shoot is one of the first cards I'll take out, but especially with little monsters, and they're going to be setting Snowman Eaters and stuff in the side deck, different things like that. And Cyber Dragons too, if you can put those cards back, being able to get all that information and in throwing something back as a 1-for-1 is just absolutely insane. This card is so good, and I'm happy that it's only at 1. I'm happy Crush Card doesn't exist. I'm happy that there are. This format is my favorite, and that's just another cherry on top of why I like it so much, because ideally this card wouldn't even be in this format, but the fact that it's just at 1, that's, I guess, good enough. But this card, I hate when it's played against me. This card is so damaging, and just an insane card. So as a main deck, this is just, I think, very consistent. A little light on monsters with 15, but once you get one, you're really just kind of going consistently every turn. You don't have to worry about drawing more monsters to play. You really only need 1, and if you draw a ton early game, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's probably the only downfall, but 15 out of 40, you're probably not going to draw more than 2 most of the time. If you draw more than 2, then that's just, unfortunate. But yes, main deck very solid. I think the consistency of the monsters, the pressure that it puts on, plus all the support in the spells, all the little, cute gimmicks and limiter removal ends the game, creature swap ends the game, solidarity for the pressure, MST and stuff clears it up, smashing ground clears the board of stuff when they realize that they need to stall because they can't stop your humongous little guys and your traps to protect those guys. I love this deck. I really hope to do well with it today, and it tested very well when I was playing, before the tournament a couple days ago, the past few days. So, side deck, only monster I side is Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo. This card is flipped face up, destroy all special summon monsters on the field. Neither player can special summon monsters. This is a rock. This is not a machine, so if you're putting this in, maybe you want to take out your solidarities, because then you're not going to have only machines in your graveyard. They can't special summon. That's fantastic. They already special summoned, you set it, boom, gets flipped up, oh no, they're all destroyed. This card is an absolute powerhouse. I think people might even be main decking this card because it's so good. Almost everyone side decks this card, and it's just one of the probably one of the best cards ever made. I mean, this is just, when you have a card that destroys entire mechanic, kind of like Royal Oppression, just stops special summoning, it is just very, very game-breaking, and I think this card is a 10 out of 10. Twister, pay 500 life points and target one face-up spell or trap card on the field, destroy that target. I almost had Dust Tornadoes in here, but the only difference is Twister will get rid of Royal Decree. Tony, what is that card? I've never heard of that card. Negate all other trap effects on the field. You're running a lot of trap cards in this deck, and you really need them. So if you're running to a deck or a side deck that has Royal Decree, you want to be able to get rid of it, and if Dust Tornado gets drawn after they have Decree up, that's a trap card, and you're not going to be able to destroy this. So pay 500, destroy it, let your trap cards run free. I think Twister is a good move here. Book of Moon, because they're not just going to side in Cyber Dragons, they're going to side in Thunder King Raiohs, which prevent you from adding cards from your deck to your hand. They're going to put in cards that you might want to put face down, and it's more protection that isn't in the form of a trap. So if they do side in Royal Decree, you still have some protection for your little guys if you're not super set up yet. And it pairs well with Nobleman of Crossout. You target one face down monster on the field, destroy it, and if you do, banish it. If it was a flip effect monster, each player reveals their main deck, then banishes all cards from it with that monster's name. Maybe they're going to be putting in Spies, you know, if they're playing Keepers, or if they think that Spy and Guard is good against this deck. Maybe Snowman Eaters, so Knock is already good. And of course our favorite Raioh, right? Nobleman will really hurt Raioh, and that hurts value. And Book pairs well with this, so maybe expect to see me siding in all four of these at once today. If I see a lot of value turbo, there's going to be a lot of side decking of Fossil Dyna, Nobleman, maybe Books onto Shadow Mirror, negate all Dark Monster effects activated on the field or in the graveyard. I'm going to take these Oppressions right out. I'm going to put Shadow Mirror right in because this doesn't negate value. This does. They can't do much with this. This will really shut them down. I want to play 3, to be honest, but I don't think it's super necessary because Fortress will run over their Armed Wings. It'll bang out with their Armor Master. I'm not super worried about value turbo. I think this deck will handle it pretty well. I hope. I've seen people play very aggressively with it. It all depends on what we draw and what they draw, and all we could do is what we can do, right? So, next, Rivalry of Warlords. Each player can only control one type of monster. Send all other face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. All machines, we're never worried about that. Every other deck, Glad Beasts are different, Light Sworns are different, Value Turbo, those monsters are different. They're not all winged beasts. What else? Plant stuff. They're not all plants. You have Debris Dragon, Bring Back Dandy. I flip this now. Which one do you want to keep? You know, really shuts down Synchro plays. It stops Frog Monarchs. You can only control, a Treeborn Frog. You bring it back. You can't tribute it. You could tribute set something, but you can't tribute an Aqua-type monster for, a Thestalos or a Caius. A Caius is a fiend, you could tribute set it, but no one wants to put 1000 defense Caius, on the field. And even more for Frog Monarchs. Mask or Restrict, neither player can tribute cards. A nice out against this is not bringing your Treeborn Frog back, but using Soul Exchange to tribute one of your opponent's monsters for one of your own cards. With this on the field, you can't tribute anything, so I think this is a pretty solid side deck. I don't play any Synchros in here. The only reason we have an extra deck is because of Creature Swap. We may be able to take them, and if that's the case, we could Synchro for anything right here. We do play 2 Starlight Road, 2 Stardust Dragons. I'm not going to get too much into the extra deck right here. We're not going to see a ton of it today, but yes, Creature Swap will give us access to some Synchros potentially. And yeah, so I will see you guys round 1. Let's see how we do today. So round 1 I played against Plants. I'm not sure if it was Quick Draw Dandy Warrior or not because I didn't really get to see any Quick Draw Synchrons, but I won that match. And then round 2 I played against kind of an anti-meta Fire Dog, Flame Veil Magician, Rekindling sort of deck with a lot of back rows. And what you're about to see is game 3 of that match. Alright, double Nobleman. That's pretty bad. Double Nobleman, double Gadget is pretty bad, but Limiter's a good card to draw. That's all we're going to do. Hopefully he sets a monster. A lot of gadgets, a lot of noblemans. Nobleman is what I really wanted to stop the rekindling stuff, but if he has MST Fire Dog, then we are at a huge disadvantage right off the rip. There's a Thunder King. Yeah, that's fine. Summon is fine. But he does have Pulling the Rugs, so... And they're thinking about this one. Looks like they might not attack. They're setting 1, 2 back row and a pass. I'm going to draw Mirror Force. I'm just going to go for it now to get that off the field. Bump him up to 26. Magic Drain. I gotta get that off the field, right? So I will discard a spell to negate that. So he takes 700. Sets a Magic Drain. Interesting. I'll summon my yellow gadget now. Let the party continue. Okay, Greeny Boy. Set this Mirror Force and phase red dies. Alright, we went first. We have 6 to his 5. Sets a monster. It's perfect. Another back row. Hopefully it's not another Magic Drain. That'd be pretty crazy, right? I'm going to put green on the field. If it's Torrential Sanguine, it is, but I doubt it. I feel like he has a nice wall. He might have a pulling set, but lucky for us, we have that second gadget. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This is actually playing out pretty nicely. Not a guarantee. Definitely has 3 Raiohs in there. I'm pretty certain of it. Okay, it's good. Yep. Alright. Quick swingity. He is the type of player to set multiple back row. I mean, he set Pulling, Magic Drain, could be Heavy Storm still set. We always had 1 back row set at a time. And he doesn't have... Yeah, I'm just going to pass. I'm just going to pass because this deck does have a very hard time getting around Stardust, but if I lose to Heavy Storm, then I'm in a really, really tough spot. So he sets a couple more. We draw Oppression, which is great. Just going to attack, put some damage on them, pressure on him. Main phase 2. Try to thin it out. It's nice that we had that second gadget. Yep. Now we just have 1 yellow left, that's fine. Might have Call the Haunted now. So I'm going to set that and pass. I'm not going to commit to the field too much just because he's a crafty player. He's set heavy and stuff. Good card to draw. Very good card to draw. Again, no Starlight Road and no reason to get cocky right now, so let's just attack. If he activates Call, he's going to take them both. I will set this third one now to really get the party going. I could summon red, right? But that's a little aggressive because I could just attack for game next turn if he doesn't have anything. If he sets a spy, I haven't seen a spy or anything like that, so I don't think he even has that, but it's the Oppression. That's okay. We still have, I mostly care about the Mirror Force. He might have more back rows. That's fine. He might have my body, but he's at 23, so... He's not going to attack. Smashing would be fantastic, right? Do I want to overextend? Do I want to overextend? Looks like a bottomless, yep. We're just gonna go for it right now, I think. And copy and paste that attempt is fine. I don't want to get hit with a mirror force, that'd be pretty minus. Deep Prism effectively does the same thing. Pulling Magic Drain MST bottomless. It easily could have back rows like that. If I attack for 7, that drops him to 16, so it's not game either way. Oh, he books this. Excellent for us. I have a yellow left, so I could still summon that if I want. I sided out Pot of Avarice, so once these guys are gone, they're gone. I don't need to put red on the field right now. He might have Dust Shoot set. It'd be fantastic if he does. And he really has to attack. So if he has my body, he does. He has to attack. If he has my body, he does. But I feel like... let me think about that. We got 2 spellcasters, which is pretty awful. Yeah, I can't rivalry 2 spellcasters, right? That's fine. Yeah, he might attack. Try to get him off the field, but I feel like Stardust Dragon's the right play. I still think we're in a good spot. Yeah, but he's gonna attack with both. He's gonna my body, so that's fine. Drops him down to 800. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Okay, now I think we're in a good spot, and yeah. When you enter main phase 2, I'm gonna activate Rivalry. So now you can't make a Stardust Dragon. I don't think he has any spellcasters in there. If he does, he does. But I think a flip and an attack should be game. It's a close one. I still put him on a Dust Shoot right there, but no guarantee. We don't have anything left. Sure, I go down to 1250. I take 250. Or 1250, I take 150. Yep. And then declare that effect to pop that Kaiku. Main phase 2. I don't have to summon. But I want to summon, right? I want to summon. He can't summon Fire Dog. Yeah, I'm just gonna normal summon. I'm gonna get yellow. Now, if I smash and he draws a Fire Dog, he runs me over. I could have set Gadget, but that doesn't make sense because it's gonna be flip summon. If I smashing and he draws a mon, if he attacks over this, he sets a monster. That's one thing. All his Raikos are gone. He can't summon another monster though, unless it's a spellcaster. Unless he draws another Kaiku, which is just absurd. But then if he draws Kaiku, It makes Stardust and I summon attack, he negates, I win. I'm gonna end and hope that he draws another monster and doesn't set it. Hopefully he draws something bad. If he sets a back row, I'm still going for it, even if hopefully I draw MST or something, but he didn't draw it, thank God. Jeez Louise, man. That was so close, that's crazy. Now, quickly to reflect on that game, I think it's very easy to come out with a win and not look back to see if you made any misplays. I think it's more likely that you make a big misplay and it costs you the game, and then you end up going back and thinking, oh, why did I do that? I should have done something differently. But I think it's important to go back on the wins and look at what you could have done differently as well. So 2 things that I noticed, both towards the end of the game. One, I could have flipped Rivalry when he summoned the Flame Veil Magician, because even though he had 2 spellcasters, he would have not been able to make Stardust Dragon or anything else. But that would have changed the game state a little bit, because now knowing that he can't synchro for anything, maybe he elects to attack over my fortress that's face down, and if he does that, I pop one of the monsters, but I have a red and a yellow gadget on the field. I drew Smashing the next turn. I didn't know that I was going to draw that. I wouldn't have had an out to that monster, even being just 1400 attack points. So I decided to wait on that, but if I did flip it, like I said, maybe he wouldn't have attacked both my gadgets. Maybe he would have attacked the fortress instead. Whole game would have been different. So I waited. Is that a misplay? It's more of a judgment call. I played it how I wanted to play it, and I also, second thing is that I misspoke towards the end of the game, and I said that if he summoned another monster after he had the Flame Veil Magician and I just had my gadget in the Rivalry, he could have made Stardust. I would Smashing Ground, he would negate, I would attack for game, but he wouldn't be able to make Stardust because I had Rivalry on the board, right? So I literally knew that the turn before. A turn or 2 later, I'm saying something completely contradicting. So sometimes it's easy when you're in Game 3, the last couple turns and everything is really heated, to kind of get mixed up a little bit, so you always want to try to stay clear on all that stuff right to the end. Luckily, we came out with a win, but wasn't perfect, so always want to be as sharp as possible. Now, round 3, I finally play against Raioh Turbo. Game 1 was very, very close, but he ended up edging me out, so we're going to cut right to games 2 and 3 and see how the match played out. Alright. Let's just set this guy and pass, right? Let him do what he's got to do. Kind of want to summon a gadget, but we have no protection for them. Another gadget heavy, not no back row have in hand, so they're probably going to start the same way, right? Unless if they sided in Thunder King or something, then that's going to be pretty good for them. But I never mind having 2 gadgets going in games 2 or 3, because they could side in pulling the rugs and stuff. Right on top. So that's not too bad. If they had anything, okay, that actually works out pretty nice. Alright, a bottomless. A beautiful bottomless. And I'm just going to attack. Looks like he has a pretty monster heavy hand too. Unless he has Heavy Storm or something. Just set bottomless and pass. And what else are we going to do with this hand? Go sick, overextend? No reason to do that. I think that deck does play Gores. If he has Sirocco, get a nice bottomless off. I think we probably bottomless it, right? It seems like nothing is going that way 100% with stuff. Like, they pretty much always have the MST or stuff to clear the board, but don't know if they're... maybe they got a game, right? This deck is very capable of doing that. But it's just Greffer. Shadow Mirror would be fantastic right now, but That's fine. Ooh, pitches a Greffer. Oh, jeez. Greffer to pitch Greffer. Is that just for a Sirocco or for a Elfin? Wow. That's a lot. I feel like their hand is very weak. I don't have to bottomless right now. I could just set Fossil Dyna next turn, but if he has Burial, then he has Burial, and then I could do that next turn anyway. Interesting. Two darks in there with the Greffer. Alright, now, is this a game? If we go Fortress, Fortress, Fossil Dyna, Smashing, that's 5,008. It's exactly 8,000, I believe. So we're going to go. Yep, that's a perfect draw. Special summon. Can't special Fader, can't special Gores. No, Necro Gardener. Alright. Pretty good. That was very nice draw. That was, wow, this deck doesn't really do that too much. This deck does not do that too much. True Nade would help, but I feel like in this position, I don't know, with all the back rows and stuff, I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna take it out. I don't think it's gonna come in super handy. All right, very good hand. Very good hand. Even if he has Dust Shoot, it's a good hand. Smashing for anything he techs. Knock for any Raioh set. Gear Frame runs over anything he summons. That's fine. That's fine. And a creature swap if he starts putting big boys on the field. Value in the grave. One back row and a pass. And a Solemn. And we get a Solemn. Even pulling the rug is okay right here. Yep, that is fine. I think we could just set Solemn and go on with our way, right? Unless he has Dark Arts, unless he has all the fixins'. Yeah, I'm not going to waste Smash. I'm going to set the Solemn now. I feel like that deck is fast, and if he has MST or Heavy and he wants to do it and go sick, he can do that. If he wants to summon Greffer, pitch, Dark Arm attack, go crazy, he can do that. But at least with one back row, he knows it's not free. Yeah, this might be shaping up to be a pretty good game. He's just going to attack. Really wanted that Gear Frame to go through, but Pulling the Rug's a good card. Alright, there's one that's perfect for us. Creature swap not ideal at the moment, but him not having a back row is very good, so I'm going to get this green gadget to our hand. I think we're going to knock, right? No, knock on my door. Do we want a Smashing? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm just going to knock. Very happy that we drew knock. That's excellent. I really don't want to lose this game. Okay, all the Raikos are gone. I'll shuffle one more time for you too. Do I want a creature swap? Not really. It seems pretty minus, right? But I don't want to let him just run over this one now. I don't want a Smashing because that's pretty important. I really don't want that. And if he summons Greffer, we're in a little bit of trouble. It doesn't really make sense to. I could summon Green Gadget and just bang out. There's no reason to waste stuff like that. Those are just valuable cards. Just gonna pass. He went first. He has 6 to my 7 when I draw, but he's running this over. Yeah, Green Gadgets could bang out with the Arm Knight. He can put more cards on the field if he wants. He doesn't know if we have Torrential. We could do a lot of stuff with the creature swap smashing later. Hopefully it doesn't do anything super crazy. That's fine. That's fine. Gore's Greph or Plague. Alright, there's 4 darks in there now and a Plague Spreader. Looks like he's thinking about overextending a little bit. Looking at the extra deck like he wants to go Plague Spreader Dark Arm. Yeah, if he hit 3 with it and one of them's Plague and he has Dark Arm, then that's just fantastic. That deck is very good. Now I'm looking at a hand from 2005 over here. Take 700. I'm going to take 14. Alright, so we're starting to get a little low. Hopefully it doesn't have another back row to set. If he wants to go sick, then he can. Alright, Limiter's a good card to draw, I think. Not excellent card to draw, but we still just got to play it slow, I think, unfortunately. I really don't want to. Okay, simple enough. Get that off the field. Green Gadget stands up to Armageddon Knight, believe that. So he's going to draw his card. Gorge is gone. If he has Heavy Storm and we Solemn it and he goes Plague and Dark Arm, we lose 100%. So I don't want to put too many cards on the field, but now he has so many cards. I don't want to set... I think we got to set a couple to try to bluff him out, right? At least. If he has Dark Arm, then we lose regardless, I think. If he has Heavy, then we're in a very, very tight spot. But that deck is so aggressive, I can't just keep one back row on the field. I can't do it. I literally can't do it. Because then he's going to go for game, I think. He might not. He's playing it patiently, but he's playing it very properly. And there's a point where it's wait, now. And then it's just... That's how it works. So, I don't really know what he's thinking. Gorge is gone, so we're good for a direct attack if he wants to bang out next turn. If he wants to put more cards on the field. If he doesn't have any back row removal, or he has True Nade. Wow, True Nade is pretty bad right now. He does have back row removal. And it looks like he could make a nice level 6. If I Solemn that, I think that's going to slow him down a little bit. I think I kind of have to, otherwise he goes for game. I really don't want to. I really, truly don't want to. But we're not looking 100% hot right now, and I want to slow him down. Limiter buys... We're talking about like a turn-by-turn basis now. I mean, Limiter buys us a turn. Smashing is like for my turn. Creature swaps are for my turn, but my turn like might not come, you know? That's the way this game is going. Maybe a chance he makes Goyo, attacks my gadget or something like that. I could go for Raioh, pitch everything, put all my hand back and attack for game. That wouldn't be a bad play. Or he might just bang out and pass. I don't really know how he's going to play it. I mean, he really has game if he wants to overextend, but he could lose himself the game if he tries anything crazy too. But it looks like he's going to go for it. He has a lot of cards too, so yep. Yeah, if it's a Raioh, he's in a very good spot, but I don't know what he's going to do. If he goes Goyo, I'm going to let him take it, and then I'm going to... Should I just keep using the thumb? Now I'm typing, getting him kind of confused. No, I might... Yeah, it depends what he brings out. I might let him take it with Goyo. Red Gadget run over green. That's good. Nope, that's good. Yep. Yeah, that's it. that's it. Yeah, not too much I could have done. So what did we see in those two games? In game 2, we did something that we normally don't get a chance to do unless we have limiter removal, but we got a nice OTK off. Very rare for that to happen without limiter. And game 3, sometimes that's just how the wind blows, right? I drew my cards, they drew theirs, and they knew once they had that Solemn Judgment off the Trunade, they knew they could Bionic, pitch cards. I was at 2250, I believe, and they could pitch what they needed to have in graveyard to clear my board, bring out a value, and in case I had Battle Fader, I mean, they know I'm not playing Battle Fader and Gadgets, right? So I think they played everything very well, and there was not too much we could have done in that third game, and that just happens sometimes. So a very good game to my opponent that sent us into losers. I really wanted to win that game. Obviously, I want to win every game, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! That happens sometimes. And right after that, in round 4, I ended up playing against Blackwings, and it was one of those games that's really, it's just not sitting right with me, if I have to be honest with you, because game 1, I won very easily. It was a very fast game, and then we were just chit-chatting the whole time, being very nice to each other. My opponent was very, very nice and very down-to-earth and cool. And I almost don't like when it's that casual, because then you start to think, oh, okay, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to win. And you kind of forget what the proper order of operations are. You just need to make sure you're staying on top of your stuff. Don't get cocky. Play correctly. Think about all your plays very thoroughly. And I was trying to do that, but I think at some point in game 2, my opponent made a Black Rose Dragon and said, oh, you're going to Starlight Road. And I had Starlight Road, but I also had Oppression, and they had one face down back row, and I said to myself, if I Starlight Road and they Solemn, they're going to clear my board, and they're going to have advantage, and they're going to win this game. I think, let me use Oppression. If they Solemn it, then the summon's fine. They use the effect, I Starlight Road, now we win the game. I didn't realize that by using Oppression, I locked myself. Now, if they wanted to play Heavy Storm, I had Royal Oppression face up. They could pay 8 to negate Starlight Road, right? If I try to negate their Heavy Storm, I didn't realize that I had locked myself by not just going for the Starlight Road. Another thing that was one of those judgment calls, I also locked myself out of my Machina Fortress special summons, and ever since then, I feel like it was one where it was so obvious that even they said it, but I was kind of overthinking it to play it as best as I could, and I ended up losing that game. Game 3, I drew very badly, and I was begging for a monster, and when I finally drew it, it was a Peacekeeper. I should have just said it, but instead, I summoned it, I creature swapped, I took their monster, which I thought was Snowman Eater, and it was, and next turn they were able to tribute it for Sirocco and attack, and even though I killed the Sirocco, I did not get Peacekeeper's effect because it was not destroyed, and I never drew a monster until I had about 300 life points left, and that's not the deck's fault. They gave me the Peacekeeper that I needed. Not saying that if I got a monster off of it, I would have won that game anyway, but I think those two plays by themselves in games 2 and 3, the Royal Oppression as opposed to the Starlight Road, and the creature swapping the Peacekeeper as opposed to just setting it, I think those two plays were enough for me to think that I lost the game because of those, and it really just isn't sitting right with me. I definitely don't feel as badly about the match 3 loss versus the value player, because they played it very well. There was not too much we could have done. We drew what we drew and we did what we could, and that's just how the game is sometimes. But that round 4, when I was in loser's bracket, I feel like I really should have won that game, and I'm pretty disappointed with winning 2 and then losing 2 and just going out like that. I still think Gadgets is a really, really good deck, and I'm not going to give up on it. But some things that I took away from it is that I really did not get to use Ultimate Offering too much. I don't know if I drew it at all, and when I did, it was really not super good. Heavy Storm sat in my hand dead a lot of times with a deck like this that plays continuous spells like Solidarity and a lot of traps. Heavy Storm may not need to be in the main deck. Those were two things that I noticed. I think this main deck could improve a little bit. Aside from that, I tried to play the absolute best that I could. All my opponents were very respectful, and it was a good tournament. Thank you to E3 for setting it up, and to everybody who set it up, and for the commentary and all the players and stuff. 200 players is awesome, and I'm so happy to have been able to participate in it. Definitely disappointed with the outcome, but looking forward to practicing more, and we're going to hit top. We're going to win one of these eventually, so hopefully sooner than later. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate all the support I've been getting on these videos. We're so close to 500 subscribers. I can't wait to hit it. We'll see you in the next one.